Bennett Davison here, talking with EuroHooplife, and we're going to be interviewing Coach Dean Murray. What country we're going to talk about? I know the country, China. What city are we going to talk about? You said you had a great experience there.
The last time I was in China, I was living in a city in the southern province of Guangdong called Foshan.
Okay.
It's about 30, 40 minutes from Guangzhou, which is the third largest city in China.
I've been to Guangzhou.
And you're 2 hours from Hong Kong and 2 hours from Macau, and great weather. Easily the best area of China to live in, Guangdong province.
So you went from the last interview where it was like a mining town and dusty and camels and desert and mountain to
Right,
nice. You could have
right.
just why didn't you just start there?
Yeah, pretty. Save the best for last. So.
Okay, so what? Give me a little background. What were the facilities like? What was the setup that you had there? Kind of go into the details of what a player, maybe a player and a wife and a child, could expect when they get over there and they sign a contract with this team.
I think there's going to be, certain, if you have a family, there's going to be certain places in China you would want to bring a family. And I mean, you always want to have your family with you, but I'm not necessarily sure that city of Urumqi would be, somewhere where you would want them. But when I was living in Foshan, that part of China is definitely an area where you can bring your wife and kids to,
Yeah.
because Guangzhou is one of the largest cities, and you are near Hong Kong. And I think because of the influence of Hong Kong, for hundreds of years, that it's probably a little culturally closer to our Western civilization than, a Far East situation.
Yeah.
You certainly have more Western style living in that part of China.
Okay. Nice. And so the team was there. You were allowed how many Americans? Let's go into the team facilities, the location, the living. Like you were saying in the first place, you went to South Korea. You were living in the suburbs, 30 minutes, 40 minutes north of downtown. Are you
Right,
as the team smack dab in the heart of the city? Let's go into the details of what your experience was
right.
there.
Foshan was another one of those small cities of China with 7 million people.
Oh yeah,
So,
funny little, just a little village.
yeah, they always, if you're 5 to 7 million, it's a small city in
Right,
China.
right.
So, but the team also too lived in a dorm setting. They had the American players were living in a very nice hotel. I think a lot of times, and if I had any suggestions for guys, if they're okay with doing that, I always preferred to be in a hotel, a
Yeah,
5-star hotel versus being in an apartment.
yep.
You got maid service, and it's just
Interact
a
with
little
other
bit.
people and you're around your
You
teammates,
don't
your
have to worry
buddies.
about the heat going off during the winter or the
Yeah,
electricity or anything like that.
internet
But
going down.
our Right. Our facilities, where the team was housed and everything, were nice. There was, once again, 3 teams living there, senior team and 2 junior teams. Full facility as far as eating. Uh, this one was a little bit newer, so we had 2 brand new full courts in there to practice on and everything. So
Awesome.
the
And they always
facilities
had
and everything
access
were
to them to
nice
get extra shots and stuff.
at any time. At any
Okay.
time.
All right. So the facilities, is this like you said, the city was great. Now, was it on the coast or was it just a nice setup?
It was a little bit inland. 2 hours to the coast, two
Okay.
hours, 2 hours to Hong Kong, 2 hours to Macau.
Okay.
So not, you could just get on a train and be there in no time.
Awesome.
And a tropical type weather.
Humid and
So
humid
it,
outdoors.
yeah, in the winter time, you just needed a light jacket and jeans, and that was enough.
Yeah, yeah. There's times where we're over in Europe and I've had other teammates like they're in Mongolia, it's negative 30 degrees. I'm in Slovenia, it's like -8 when you get outside. You got to wear 2 pairs of leggings and sweatpants and thermal underwear and
Right,
jackets and hoods and gloves and all that type of stuff. And
right.
that's
So
never fun.
that aspect of it was nice, and we had a central location there in Foshan that was actually the only other area like it in China was in Shanghai. It was like a walking area.
Okay.
So there was just shops and
See, those
restaurants.
are the things
I
that I
mean,
want to know about just for other Americans because a lot of times, as you know, we're traveling. You have 3 games a week in China, and how are the people, your family members, going to stay busy? Whether they come and visit you, whether it's your husband or wife, how are they going to entertain themselves? It sounds like it's a great place for that.
Yeah, and this area would be as nice as anything you would be walking around in it, and you would think you would be in Plano, Texas, or Dallas, Texas. You
Nice.
know, with the and I had actually a really nice Irish pub that I went to that had great food. A lot of foreigners were in there. There was a nice Korean restaurant in this area. You know, just seafood, Japanese restaurant, Italian restaurant. It was super nice.
Awesome. Well, let's get into it. Like you said, and I think you said pretty much in our last two Chinese team interviews that finances is never an issue. You have billionaires. This is one of the issues because if you go to Istanbul, Turkey, you have I think in the last 5 years, you have out of the top 15 teams, you have seven of them that are in Istanbul, and one team
Right,
in 5 years has 57 arbitrations against it. So this is kind
right.
of the whole purpose. Is like sounds like China is a good place if you can get into a good country, onto a good team in a good living situation, you can stay there for 2 or 3 years and feel comfortable. But there's also cities where you're like, you're going to be playing, but you're not going to be out there doing very much
Yeah, uh,
lifestyle wise.
anybody would want to live in this part of China for
Okay.
sure. And our team too. Our owner was great. He actually just built that where they just had the World Games last
Yep.
year. In China, he actually built that. His company did.
Awesome.
So
So he's a
he is a big
construction
real
guy.
estate guy. And unfortunately our team wasn't that good that season, but they never missed a payment. And anytime towards the end of the season we would win, he would come in. Okay, double bonus. You know, so it was great.
I was playing
I just
football
wish we
on.
could. I wish we could have won more. You know.
Yeah,
So
Armani Jeans did that. He's like, "Hey, we have $40,000. If you guys win, we're going to divvy it up between all the players and the assistant coaches and stuff." We're like, "Oh yeah, here's another 3,500 euros just for winning
right.
two out of
Well,
three games."
typically in that situation in China, before you part of your contract, I don't know what the American players had, but for me personally, I had an amount that I would get for a home win, and then I would have a little bit bigger amount that I would get
Yeah,
on the road,
nice.
and then they would know the bonuses. So you would if he came in and said double bonus, then you're getting a
Oh
couple
yeah, you're
grand that
just
night.
leaving everything
So
out on the
so
floor. Don't come
and
in
then
half
and then
assed.
typically with those, they would pay us separate of our salary.
Yeah,
So you would just go into a room and man, it looked like Al Capone. I had a
yeah, exactly. Out
stack
there,
of cash on the side over there. But that
looking
would
like
be
a
great too
hip
because
hop star.
yes, but that would be great too because you could typically just use that for your spending money
Awesome.
and just get your salary back home. So.
Any last few closing words on this team in this exact situation? Any kind of funny little stories or anything?
Well, the I can't remember his name. He's the big kid that the Houston Rockets drafted a few years ago.
Can't remember. I was
I can't
probably
remember his name, but the night we didn't have a good team, and we actually were on about an 8 or 9 game losing streak that night.
hmm
And that is the one area of China that there's a team in Shenzhen, Guangdong, and Foshan. So you typically can take a bus with those three cities.
okay.
But anyway, that night, the Xinjiang team that I had coached before, they had that number one player that was going to be drafted in the NBA, and they were playing like 2 or 3 games in that area.
Yeah.
So for these 3 games, all the NBA scouts were there,
Oh, really?
all of them, because they were able to follow him for
Yep.
3 games in like a 3-day period, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So I remember that night they came to play us, and we had lost like 9 or 10 in a row. And there was like probably 15 NBA scouts at the game that night, and we beat them on a last second jumper.
There
So
we
that was
go.
pretty nice. So,
When there's big eyes in the crowds, everyone shows up to play.
yeah, exactly,
Awesome.
exactly.
Coach, thank you for your insight, and I'll be putting this up on the Euro Hoop Life YouTube channel so everyone can learn and listen to how your time over in China went.
Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.